Alright, what's up, gang? So, I just got out the shower. My daughters, they chilling, they playing. I attempted to put them some cartoons on so that they would be occupied. But y'all know how kids is. But I really wanted the focus of this video to be on my bipolar disorder. What it's like having one, and also how I was diagnosed with it and things of that nature. So starting out, how was I diagnosed with a bipolar disorder? Well, y'all know how the therapists do. They sit down, they listen to you, and it's like this little screening thing that you go through. And it was just a bunch of questions that she asked me. It's just how I feel about things changes very quickly. My moods, I do go through mood swings, and things of that nature. I don't know. I feel fine. Like I don't even feel like I can actually make a video on bipolar disorder because I don't feel like I have it. I really don't. Like I feel absolutely fine. Whenever my moods change, for me, there's for a good reason. I could be happy, but I thought about something sad, so now I'm sad. Or I could be sad and then somebody come up and say something funny, I'ma laugh, like be happy all over again. Like my moods, they shift, and I feel like that's absolutely normal. So to anybody else that has like a bipolar disorder, I just say we normal. We just people that feel stuff. We change a lot. I feel like that's normal. Like why wouldn't you want to change a lot? Why would you want to stay the same? Like, how is it possible? Like, I honestly look at people who can stick with stuff for a really long time. And I'm just like, how are you doing that? Like, you know you're not happy staying on that job for 50 years. Like, you know you wanted to do something else. You just decided not to. So, I don't know. I feel like we're normal. I feel like the people who don't change, they're the problem. They're the ones with the mental disorder. Throw them away. That's how I see it. But, I feel absolutely normal. Like, I can't name, like, oh, this is bipolar disorder. I battle with this and I battle with that. Like, no. Now, one thing I will say is that it's kind of complicated because when you feel multiple ways about multiple things, it's hard for you to actually establish a firm and solid identity. Because to have a solid and firm identity, you have to have values and principles that you stick by and that you always feel the same about. But that's one thing I will say is very complicated and difficult about having a bipolar disorder is the fact that your opinions on things, they change so much that it's hard to keep up with yourself. So a lot of times you feel lost. You don't fully, truly know your real identity because you feel multiple ways, you think multiple ways, so you're literally like dealing with multiple personalities. And when anybody asks you like, well, okay, who are you? I could describe who I am to you, but that'll just be in this moment, all I could think of in this moment. But tomorrow, my ideals, my philosophies about life and love and hate will be completely different. So that's one thing that I really find the most complicated about having a bipolar disorder is that because we change so much, it's hard to truly pin down who am I, and if I can't even figure out who I am, just imagine how confusing it is to date me. You think you get in one person and then you end up with another person and another side come out. Like, I'm sure it's very complicated to date me or even be friends with me, because I changed so much, and honestly, like sometimes my oldest daughter, she be like, Mommy, you happy today? Like, because I do shift. Like, there are some days when I'm very happy and loving and joyful and playful, and there's other days where honestly I feel very detached and I just want to be left alone, and I just want my babies to like just go play, So it's like they kind of have to read me, read my body language, read my facial expressions, my energy before they can actually like approach me, you know. And there's sometimes whenever I get onto my daughters for doing certain things, and there's other times I let them get away with it, like. And that's what I would say is so complicated about bipolar disorder, because you change so much that it's like your rules in the household, they change as well. And it's like your children are like, you know, is mommy gonna allow me to get away with this today? Or is mommy gonna, you know, pop me for doing this today? You know, so I would just say that's kind of complicated, especially if you have children. Me personally, I'm not on any type of medication for it. I've honestly just been trying to like thug it out as best as I most possibly can. Because the way I see it, our ancestors, they did not have psychedelics and medicine and things of that nature. And it's a blessing that we do. So I will not speak down on that. I feel like it is very helpful to some people, but you have individuals like myself who I grew up taking medicine. Whenever I was younger, I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, but yeah, I grew up taking medicine. I've taken Prozac, I've taken Celexa, I've taken Ritalin, I've taken Zoloft, I've taken fluoxetine. Like, I've grown up taking medicine. So when I tell you that that's why I choose not to take medicine, is because I've already been experimented on with so many different medicines just growing up, that now as an adult, I don't see medications in the best light, because I've been tested on so many different ones already. So I would just say do what works for you. If you feel open to taking medicine for it, I say go for it. I would just say, like, if you're gonna take medicine, try not to feel dependent on it. I would say try to strive for emotional stability on your own, alongside if you're gonna take medicine. But me personally, I don't take medicine. I don't plan to take medicine for it. I've just been trying to find a way to ride the waves of my emotions, allow myself to feel, yes, but still act from a logic perspective of what makes sense, you know. And Leah says hi. But yeah, I've just been trying to get a grip of my emotions, and I honestly have been doing well. Like, my therapist even told me that she's proud of me, because there's been times I was angry, but I was able to sit and have a normal conversation. And I've come a long way. Like, if y'all knew who I was before, you know, y'all would see why I say it's such a blessing that I'm able to be angry and have normal conversations with people. And also, whenever I'm sad, I write it out. I allow myself to cry. I allow myself to feel it. I allow myself to, you know, I don't allow myself to lay in the bed how I used to when I was sad. I still get up. I still get dolled up. I find that that's something that helps me on my days where I feel sad, depressed, hopeless, helpless. I do get out of the bed still. I still straighten up around the house, clean up, stuff of that nature. But I probably end up journaling or going outside in nature, or I'll talk to one of my sisters, or talk out loud to myself. If anybody tells you that talking to yourself makes you crazy, they are the ones that's crazy. Because if you go this whole entire life and you never talk to yourself, and that's the person that you live with and look in the mirror every day, to me, that is insane. Okay, not acknowledging the person that's in the mirror, that to me is very insane. But yeah, so those would be like the only complications that I would say that comes along with having a bipolar disorder, is that your mind, your feelings, how you change about things, it changes so much that, like, you really don't truly fully know who you are, and nobody else around you does either, you know. But I would just say the people around you who love you, they'll try their best to understand you. They'll try their best to be there for you and they understand and know what you're going through, although they may not fully understand where you're coming from or how you feel, things of that nature. They will still strive to, you know, just try to be there for you, you know. I could go from being very social and bubbly and fun and loving people and just being the life of the party to absolutely hating everybody, not wanting to be around anybody. I just want to be in the house. I just want to be left alone. Very fearful of everybody. Just very pessimistic. Like, those are the two extremes. So when you hear bipolar, that's like two extreme sides. Like, you know, so yeah. It's very complicated and difficult to live with, you know, because I just constantly feel like I'm in like an identity crisis. Something I might like today, I may despise it the next day, you know. And speaking of despising something that I actually might like, that's something else that I would say comes with the territory. You could be very passionate about something, but the next day it may grow completely bored of it. I've been in real estate. I've been a substitute teacher, two extremes, right? And I just get bored with stuff I do. Like, there's sometimes like I'm deep into music, and then I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I get bored very quickly with things. So that's something that's kind of very complicated. And like relationship wise, I could really love a person, but if I feel angry, it's like which that's something that I actually do want to strive to work on, but I have to do it with myself first to be able to share that stable part of me with somebody else. But just remaining the same even when I'm angry, I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I feel like I've been doing a whole lot better. My therapist even told me, but I still know there's still more work to do. Because normally I had a habit of, like, in a relationship, I could love you, but if I'm irritated with you or angry with you, I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be around you. So I'm having a bipolar disorder. It can be very confusing to not only yourself, but the people around you as well. That's like the only negatives that I see of it. Also, I didn't know that a symptom of bipolar disorder is actually vivid dreams. So if that's why I have vivid dreams, then I must have had a bipolar disorder even whenever I was younger, like teenagers. But honestly, y'all, I don't feel like I like genuinely do not feel like I have a bipolar disorder. I really don't. Like, I genuinely do not. I actually feel like I've been misdiagnosed. Like, I don't think that this is the proper diagnosis for me. I just change a lot. I think that's normal. I mean, I'm on Life Path 5. You can look it up. It's all about change, you know? So I feel like it's fine. But, like, if I came across a person like me, I would be like, damn, you changed a lot. You know that, right? Okay, I don't know. Okay, so it's not normal, but I don't fucking know. Anyways, yeah, so if I could give anybody advice who is dating a person with a bipolar disorder, or if you're friends with a person with bipolar disorder, or if you have a family member with a bipolar disorder, I would just say try not to make them feel bad for how much they change, because they're aware of it. They're aware that they change a lot. So just try your best to not make them feel bad for the many changes that they go through. Like, oh, you said you was gonna do that the other day, but you didn't. Like, just try not to shame them for their change of mind, their change of feelings. Just try your best to be accepting of them and their phases and things of that nature. Just try your best to work with them through those changes. Expect for them to cancel plans. Expect for their feelings to change, just expect it. It comes with the territory if you're dealing with somebody with a bipolar disorder. But yeah, I just say just don't shame them. If they have a bipolar disorder, that signifies that they change a lot. So if you see them changing a lot, you can't shame them for something that they battle with, you know. So also, I will say to protect and watch out for yourself as well. If you feel like you cannot handle or keep up with a person who changes a lot, their feelings change rapidly, their mind changes rapidly. If you personally cannot handle that, if you feel like it's too much, I would just say out of respect for yourself, you know, if you need to back a little bit, I would say that's completely fine. And the person with a bipolar disorder, they should respect and understand that, you know. But yeah, just don't shame them for their changes. If they've been actually diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, they are highly aware that they change a lot, so they don't need to be told that or made fun of or picked on because they change so much and can't, you know, it's not that they can't keep their mind on one thing or keep their feelings the same. It's just, it's very difficult. It's like very difficult, you know. Any other advice I have, or if a person is dealing with anybody with a bipolar disorder, I will say that, don't use their bipolar disorder as a way to gaslight them, okay? Just because they get irritated with you at something you do, that does not mean, oh, you got a bipolar disorder, you got a problem with everything. No, sometimes what y'all be doing is fucked up. Sometimes what y'all be doing is very triggering, and they're just having a normal response to your bullshit. So I would just say, don't make it all about, oh, you have a bipolar disorder, that's why you sad, huh? That's why you crying, that's why you all excited today. Like, don't use that diagnosis against that person, okay? If you know you fucked up, just admit, okay, I fucked up. She or he is having a normal response to my bullshit. Take accountability for where you messed up, okay? Because I see that all too often, and I be experiencing that myself, to where a person with a bipolar disorder would call somebody out on their bullshit, and they're just like, oh, she just having a little mood swing. Like, no, I'm responding to you and what you bring it to me. Like, no. So don't make the person with the bipolar disorder feel ashamed for the emotions that they have in response to what the fuck you just did or what you just said, okay? That's like I'm getting irritated just thinking about this shit. Like, that's like the most annoying thing. It's very annoying. So if you see a person with a bipolar disorder having a reaction, just look at what you did, look at what you said, and try to take accountability for the part that you play in how they are responding, okay? Y'all, I just got irritated I got irritated just thinking about that, because like some people in real life play off the emotions of a person with a bipolar disorder and try to flip it and make it seem like they're crazy, or they're the ones like, oh, see, you not on top of your emotions and stuff like that. Like, no. So yeah, and I would just say, people with a bipolar disorder, if you're around people like that, who they purposely do things and then flip it, make it sound like you're crazy, you shouldn't be around people like that anyway, because if anything, that would just make your condition worse. And if you flip out and slap you a motherfucker, you would be the one that would end up in jail or something like that. So I would just say to be around people who respect you, who love you, and who treat you right. Because with you having a bipolar disorder, that signifies that your emotions, you feel them very intensely, and you kind of act on those emotions which I would say accountability is everything. Nothing's wrong with how we feel, but how we react off those emotions, that's on us, y'all. Bipolar disorder or not, that's just grown folks being grown folks, okay? I could be pissed off, but that does not give me the right to go up and slap the fuck out of somebody. But I say in the case that is warranted, but just don't play on the emotions of a person with a bipolar disorder. Don't do that. Cause it's all fun and games and shit till they pull a knife out on you. Then they the ones that's crazy, right? Yeah. So, but you shouldn't be around people like that anyway. To my people with bipolar disorders, don't be around people who play with your feelings and play with your emotions and shit, because it's all fun and games till something serious pops up. So, any other advice? No, I can't think of any other advice. I would say if you see that the person with a bipolar disorder, if you see that they're struggling with like making a decision or something like that, I feel like it would be cool if some people with bipolar disorders don't want to hear your advice. But I'm one of those people to where like I acknowledge, although I'm independent, although I do my own thing, I still am humble enough to know that sometimes other people do be knowing what the fuck they be talking about. So if you're dealing with a person like me who's open to advice, who's open to instructions and open to other perspectives, I would just say if you see them struggling with something like mentally, like if they're confused between what they should do, I think it would be really cool if you made suggestions to them or like help them come up with decisions sometimes, like, hey, what do you think about such and such? Like if you did this, it'll be like this. So if you basically help them to weigh out the pros and cons of stuff before they make a decision, I think that would be really cool. Stuff like that. I think accountability partners is really cool too for a person with a bipolar disorder. And what I mean by accountability partners are like people who are like, you said you're gonna do this, so try your best to stick with it. Like people who help that person to stick to the plans that they see that person actually cares about, like if a person with a bipolar disorder tells you like, hey, I want to take music serious, I'm real passionate about this, like try to hold them accountable to it. But I will say it's only so much that you can do, because with us having a bipolar disorder, if we lose passion for something, we just lose passion for it. It really ain't no talking us into it. But I think it would be sweet if you like try to help that person stick to it. But they're grown, they're gonna do what they want to do regardless. But I just think like I would give you cool points if you attempted to like help me to stay on track. I would give you cool points for it, whether I listen to you or not. Like I would respect you so much more for you getting on to me for something that I said previously that I cared about, and you trying to hold me to that path. I would respect you a whole lot more. So okay, hold on. But that's pretty much all that I can think of, y'all. We just changed a lot. We're no different from anybody else. We're not crazy. It's just people, like, we just take disrespect not to a whole nother level, but we tend to pick up on slick shit a whole lot quicker than an average person would. Like a normal person with a normal, healthy human brain, they might let certain stuff pass. But people with a bipolar disorder, we pick up on slick shit. And when we pick up on it, we respond to it. It may not be rash or, crazy, but we may like get away from you or give you the cold shoulder or something like that. But we pick up on everything. We're very sensitive to the people around us. We're very sensitive to changes. We're very sensitive to our thoughts. We're very sensitive to really everything. Like we could be in a really good mood. Maybe you tell me something that now got me in my feelings, or in the process of being in my feelings, I might watch something on my laptop that I find really funny and start laughing. So we're we are very reactive to what's going on around us. And I will say to my people with a bipolar disorder, if you find that you're having reactions that are very negative, just try to look at what's around you. What's around you that's making you respond so negatively? Is it people, or is it things that they're saying? Is it things that they're doing? And if there's a way that you can get the fuck away from them, I say go for it. Because one thing about me, I'm not finna stick and stay around a place where I'm constantly triggered. You know, you can ask my family. Anybody that knows me well knows Lana is not finna stay anywhere where she feels triggered. Like, you know, because I take accountability. It's like, I can't change you. I can't change what you're doing, but I can get the fuck away from you. And I was talking to my sister about that a few minutes ago. Like, my favorite response to a threat or to anything is just fleeing. I just run. I will happily get the fuck away from somebody. Like, I'm not finna stick around you. I know I have a bipolar disorder. I know I'm sensitive to what you're doing. Like, I'm not finna stick around this shit. Like, no, I'm finna leave. You know, because I can't change you. I can't make you stop doing what you're doing because you're grown. So I'm just going to get the fuck away from you. I'm just not going to talk to you. I'm just not going to spend that much time around you. Because if I do, I'm going to constantly be telling you, hey, you hurt my feelings. I don't like what you just did. I don't like what you just said. And I don't want to hear that. And I know you don't want to hear that either. So I just do both of us a favor and stay the fuck away from you. You know, like, that is my favorite response to my triggers. I just get away from them, you know. I'll just get away from them. Which a lot of times that's what makes it difficult for me to have friends. I think that's another reason why I'm maybe single. I just get away from whoever or whatever's triggering me. If my kids become too much for me, I send them to their room. You know, because to me, in my mind, it's just like, why should I stay around anything or anybody that is negatively affecting me? It's making my heart beat. It's making my head hot, making my ears turn red and ring and shit. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense to stay in a situation like that, you know? So I would just say to a person with a bipolar disorder, you know, if there's a way that you can eliminate the trigger factors in your life, you know, or at least reduce your exposure to them. Because once again, even with my kids, they trigger me sometimes with the loud noises, constantly asking for shit, and you know, that triggers me sometimes. So I will send them to the room, or I'll get up and go in my room and just ask for a minute away from them. You know, so asking for a minute away from people is not bad. And I would just say, don't feel bad for putting yourself, your mental health first. You know, if you don't put yourself first, if you don't get out this situation, you're likely to overreact, and that won't be good. It just won't be good. It just won't. You know, it just won't be good. But I think it also pays off to have people around you who help you to calm you down. People who have a very soft voice in your life, because there's this one time in particular that only my mom, and the thought of me having a child, that was the only thing that stopped me from snapping. So I would just say, have people in your corner that have a soft voice, that know how to calm you down. They know exactly what to say to bring you back down to earth. Make sure also that you have something or somebody in your life that you really value. Like, that's why I thank God that I ended up with 2 children, because they are literally the things that are always on the back of my mind that helps me to make good decisions. Because when I did not have children, my emotions, I would react off of them very intensely. I would not care. Like, the thought of going to jail, it never crossed my mind. I didn't care, you know. But now I have 2 children that I truly do value. Although they get on my nerves sometimes, I genuinely value these children. I value the time that I have with them here at home. I truly do value those things. So whenever I'm triggered, I have my children on the back of my mind. You know, if I react in this way, I'll end up going to jail. If I go to jail, who's going to get my babies? How am I going to take care of them? What are they going to do without me? What am I going to do without them, really? You know? And So I would just say, try to pinpoint the people, the things in your life that you truly value. And when you feel triggered, just think about those things, think about those people, you know. Because there's a saying, people that have a lot to lose, we tend to think through things. So although I have a bipolar disorder, I think through things simply because I have children, you know. And I know it would be very foolish of me to react off of my emotions. I still feel things very intensely, but my children always ding in the back of my mind. They always do, you know. So I would just say something that helps me, that I advise to other people with a bipolar disorder, is anytime you feel upset, anytime you think about doing something crazy, just have your children on the back of your mind. If you have children, what are they gonna do without you? What are they gonna think if you go to jail for snapping? You know, who's gonna take care of your babies, things of that nature. If you don't have children, maybe you have like a really nice job, you know, or maybe you have like a career or something, like, or is it worth throwing that away for a moment? For somebody being disrespectful to you, is it worth throwing all of what you worked hard for away? You know, maybe you have a house, maybe you have a car, maybe you have, I don't know, a wife or a husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, a nice hobby, I don't know, but just try to think of what means the most to you in those trying times. And when I tell you it helps, it helps. It helped me. Any other advice? I would say breathe. Also, if you feel yourself getting irritated, just, I don't care if you're in the middle of talking to somebody, arguing with somebody, you can take a deep breath wherever you are, whatever you're doing. When you take a deep breath, it helps to relieve your heart and your brain of some of that pressure, okay? So I'll just say breathe. If you need to cry, that helps too. There's times that I feel very frustrated and overwhelmed, and just me crying, it helps to release some of that out of me. Talking to people about how you feel, that helps to let out some steam. If you don't have anybody to talk to, there are hotlines that you can text. You can journal, you can go outside in nature, you can what else? You can listen to music, reggae music, lo-fi music, Afro beats, that's my favorite. Beethoven music, what else? There's multiple things to do, y'all. So I just want people with a bipolar disorder to know, yes, how you feel, you cannot always control that, but what you do, we can control that. And I testify to that. I testify because I used to yell at people, and in my past relationships, I don't got nothing to sugarcoat. I used to put my hands on who I used to date. You know, and it was a female, but you know, it was equal. I mean, she was hitting me too. So when I say it is possible to control yourself, you can take that from me and know that that's the truth, because I used to not be able to control myself. My hands used to get real happy in relationships, real tingly, real hot, real sweaty, and I would use them most definitely. But now I don't. That never crossed my mind anymore with who I'm dating, you know. So you can control your actions, but no, you can't always control how you feel. You know, somebody disrespect you, you can't always control, you know, feeling disrespected afterwards, you know. But if you go up and slap their ass, you can control that part. But I will say something else too before I close this video out. Something I learned from my therapist is that a lot of times how we feel, we only feel that way because there's a certain way that we are interpreting what just happened to us. Perfect example that she gave me, imagine if it was two different people on the road, right? And both of them, they have somebody cut directly in front of them. The first person, they interpret it as, oh, they cut it in front of me, they disrespectful, end up, chasing the person down, get into a fight with them, stuff like that. It's their interpretation. Second person, somebody cuts in front of them, they're just like, oh wow, they must have an emergency. Let me scoot over and get out their way so they can go ahead and get to their destination, because it must be something serious, So I would just say to my people with a bipolar disorder that a lot of times how we feel, no, we can't control it, but if we look at how we are interpreting what's going on around us, that most definitely can help us, And honestly, I testify to that, and it does work, because I used to have this trigger of mine to where if people respond very slowly, I used to hate that, but now I think of it as like, oh wow, their phone might be dead, they might be doing something, they might have lost their phone, like my brain is starting to branch out to other opportunities instead of just thinking, oh, so they want to act funny and so they ignore me, and like my mind is being opened up to new possibilities, and in return, my response when they do respond is very different. It's not defensive how it used to be, or it's not as, like so rah-rah how it used to be, Although sometimes I do still let people know, like, hey, you hurt my feelings, you need to say back, but I don't respond how I used to. So I was just saying how you interpret the things that go on around you, that shape how you feel. So if you find that when people do certain things, you get upset, try to look at what you're telling yourself when they do it. If somebody doesn't text you back fast enough, what are you telling yourself? In that case, I would tell myself, oh, they don't care about me. They're ignoring me. They're pushing me to the side, stuff like that. That's what I used to tell myself. But now I tell myself different things, whether it's true or not. And in return, I start to feel different. And because I feel different, I respond and react a little different when they do get back in contact with me. So your interpretation is everything. I actually just uploaded a video of that about trying to look at ways that we can look at our situations and what we go through and other people in our lives from the highest perspective possible. It's literally impossible to be pissed off at a situation if you looked at it from the highest perspective. Even if it's down to a relationship. Maybe if a person didn't want to be in a relationship but you did, okay, looking at it from a high perspective, like, okay, maybe the person, I don't know, maybe they gay. Even if it's like a funny interpretation, like just, try to interpret things in the most positive way that you most possibly can, and just watch how you feel in exchange. So, that's all that I have though, y'all. If y'all have any questions about it or anything, just comment. And to my other people with a bipolar disorder, just know nothing is wrong with you, okay? You're absolutely fine. You're absolutely normal. You're just like everybody else. You're no different. It's just you are a little bit more sensitive to stimuli around you. Nothing is wrong with that, but if there's a way that you can reduce your triggers, and if you cannot reduce it, if it's a person that you can't get away from or cut contact, if there's a way that you can watch how you are interpreting their behavior. Now I'm not saying if a person is being disrespectful to you, yes, you can interpret it, but I would say don't excuse it, Don't excuse bad behavior. Accept it for what it is. You can interpret it yourself, like, okay, I see you're disrespectful. Maybe you had a bad day. Maybe da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'm very understanding of you, but I'm not going to allow you to keep just treating me like I ain't shit, So there's a thin line, I would say, between giving somebody the benefit of the doubt and positively interpreting the situation versus just, letting them fucking mistreat you. And I never tolerate that, or would I ever give that message out to people to just let people do you any type of way, So if people are treating you like shit, accept it for what it is. And if you can get yourself out of that situation, I highly recommend you to do that. So that's all that I have though, y'all. If I need to do a part 2, I will. If you have any questions, just comment. And I hope this video was very eye-opening and informative enough to people who are dealing with a person with a bipolar disorder. Also, if you were looking at this video wondering if you have a bipolar disorder or not, I would just say you should look into getting into therapy. I recommend therapy to everybody. Even if you're doing good in life, I still recommend everybody needs a therapist. But if you were wondering if you had a bipolar disorder, I'll say go to therapy, talk to your therapist about it. It could just be simply ADHD. Other times it could be PTSD. In my case, I think that's what it is. Just look into getting screened by your therapist, things of that nature. Some telltale signs of a person with a bipolar disorder is that their mind changes very frequently, their emotions change very frequently, their personality shifts very drastically. They could go from liking something the next day to being completely against it the next day. You would consider them wishy-washy. They're very unpredictable, very rash, hard to keep up with. Their demeanor changes a lot. Like maybe one day they could come off as like very friendly, things of that nature, and the next minute just very hateful, very distant, very to themselves, very dark, like from a very light, happy person to a very dark, gloomy person that people really don't like to be around, things of that nature. Those are like some telltale signs, but I would just say don't treat that person any differently than you would anybody else. But I would say people with a bipolar disorder, you kind of have to not be on your P's and Q's, but you gotta like really look at how you are factoring into their mood swings. Yes, they have mood swings, but you have to also look at yourself, So yeah, Shorty may have just been happy, but now she's irritated. We could sit and look at it like, oh, she has a bipolar disorder. Or you could look at, okay, you did come in the house at 2-something in the morning, so maybe, just maybe, you are to blame, for why she is upset, or he, So I would just say accountability is everything, okay? Just because a person has a bipolar disorder, that does not mean they're crazy and they're the ones just overreacting. A lot of times you have to look, seriously, you have to do some hardcore looking at yourself like, okay, how am I factoring into this person's response to me? What did I do? What did I say? Okay. So, I think that is everything. That's all that I can think of. Yep, just don't shame that person for the changes that they go through. Also, I would just say don't label that person as fake. A bipolar disorder, that's actual real life mental health condition. So it's very childish if you call a person with a bipolar disorder fake because they change so much. Like literally, that's what a bipolar disorder is. The symptoms is that person changes a lot. So it's not that they're fake or indecisive and things of that nature. It's just simply they are battling with a bipolar disorder. So if you cannot understand that, if you can't keep up with it, I just say just stay away from a person like that. If you can't be there through their changes, if you don't understand, and if you're just gonna like label it something that it's not because you don't understand, I would just say just stay away from that person. You'll do yourself a favor and them as well, because the last thing a person that's battling with a bipolar disorder, the last thing they want to hear is that, oh, you changed too much, or you fake. Nobody wants to hear that, but a person with a bipolar disorder who is like real life battling with that's the last thing they want to hear from anybody, that they're fake, So, but that's all, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and click off this video. These kids, they trying to be too loud and stuff right now. But, I hope that this covered everything. I hope that this allowed people to understand the mind and The emotionality of a person with a bipolar disorder. Also, I hope that I've clearly named out the telltale signs that a person or you has a bipolar disorder as well, and also how to treat people with a bipolar disorder. But a lot of people play around with that terminology, like, oh, you bipolar. Like, I don't like when people play around like that, because you have people who real life are battling with that type of mental health condition, and it's not really something fun or pretty to play about. It's actually something really serious. But I would just say not to consider people with a bipolar disorder as crazy. Just try your best to get to understand them, you know. And if you don't have the capacity mentally to understand a person like that, I would just say just stay away from them. You just do yourself a favor and them as well. And to my people with a bipolar disorder, I would just say not to let anybody's negative comments or anything throw you off. People of this generation, especially if you're like a little younger, they just truly don't understand. You know, we can't really shame them or knock them for not understanding. Just kind of gotta cling to people who do understand, cling to people who are committed to trying to at least attempt to understand you and what you're going through and how you feel and what you think and what you're about, you know. But people who assume things and gaslight and try to use your condition against you, I would just warn you to stay away from those people. Those are the type of people who will purposely do things to bring out the worst in you so they can flip it around and call you crazy. And yeah, so just be very wary and careful of people like that, okay? But yeah, I'll go ahead and let you guys go. Until next time, toodles!